So today I am recording. Honestly, I just forgot to record yesterday. And since yesterday was the day that I taught add and subtract decimals, I decided that I would kind of start with recording with the math workshop. So yesterday we did 1 and 2, and then I just asked the kids to do 3 and 4 as we came in. So I kind of want to use number 3 here. Even though 3 and 4 are like whole numbers, we need to slow down on some of the subtraction. And I'm still seeing mistakes. What worries me with subtraction is a lot of you guys are doing what I did when I was in 4th grade. And I know that you think that all of us teachers were like straight A students, but we weren't. Most of us were kids like you guys that had to push through to make a good grade and had to study a lot. Subtraction was something in math. I enjoy math, but subtraction was something that I would just literally, what I call sling ones. I would just make this a 1, and I think that's a 9, but that might be an 8, and I'm just slinging numbers everywhere. Well, back then, our parents could come in and volunteer and grade these things called math skills. And what it was this book, and you started with the first page, which was like pink, and you went through the pink section, which was addition. Then you hit the subtraction section, it was like yellow, and you kept going. Well, when I hit the subtraction section, my mother was one of the people who sat in the corner and helped grade them. I was such a lucky ducky. And so, she yells my name across the room, get over here, because she realizes that I can't subtract. I'm just over there slinging stuff. And that's why it hurts now. I want 6th graders to get this. Like, I don't want anybody to make the mistakes. One trick that might help some of you, if you're not getting these right, okay, is to literally do this one step at a time and use, if you need to, something to cover up the numbers. Okay? So starting out, like if you're working on number 3 here, all of y'all know you can't do 8 minus 9. And you even usually borrow correctly, borrowing from the 9, make it a 8, and then what I call putting a 1. And I want you to think about it. A 1 is just like this pen. It has to go straight up and down. It cannot change the number. So like it changes it to an 18, but it doesn't make it like a 7. Okay? It doesn't. I want you to think about that. It just add a 1. So, 18 minus 9 is 9. Everybody's usually good there. It's when we start getting to this part. Okay. I can't do 8 minus 9. So I borrow from the 0. Can I borrow from a 0? No. So I'm going to go over to this 1. Well, if I take 1 from him, he now has a 0. But the 1 I borrowed has to be a line, and it's got to land as a 1. So it is like a 10. Okay. Now, I still can't do 8 minus 9. But I can finally borrow from the 10, make it a 9, and the 1 I borrowed can land right next to it. 18. Now I can do 18 minus 9, and 9 minus 7, and 0. Okay? It's very step-oriented. And if you try to what I call jump around when you're doing this and be like, I think this is a 10, and this is a 7, and this should be a 6, it gets all out of whack. Okay? Big time. Okay, and number 4 actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Taking 18, putting it into 2090. I'm going to remind you guys, please make sure you're checking your work. Like checking these math workshops. We will have a math workshop test at the end of the 9 weeks. And what we do is we take these old math workshops and we pull questions from it. So there might be 1 multiply, 1 divide. We don't tell you which ones, but that's kind of how we grade them. Sometimes I just pick them up for like a small grade. Like maybe I grade them this Friday, 8 points. just to see if you're doing them or not. I don't know. Yes?
I know what you guys is because, not if you do not times 12, that would be 108, but really not put 9 equals 18, so if you double it, then it will be 6.
I like it. I like it. Multiplication tables. And I know y'all get sick of me talking about them and all your teachers talking about them. But that flowing of multiplication tables, the faster, and I'm not saying like speed fast, but I'm just saying like where you're comfortable and you're not sitting there flinging fingers, like trying to figure it out. It makes it easier. And I can tell you probably know your multiplication tables and your skip counting very well because you're seeing doubles or halves, things like that. I see this as about a 20. So I sit there and go 20, 40, 60, 80. You know, we all see it differently, and it's fine either way. But seeing halves, that's good stuff right there. I like it. Okay, so final answer, 116 and 2/18, or you can simplify it by 2 to 1/9. Whoops, there we go. Okay, so we're good on that. Okay, will you get out last night's homework? And it was just the left side of the paper. Okay. In fact, it looked like this, but a lot of us did it on notebook paper. Yeah, most of you all finished it in class because you had the 10 extra minutes, so. I did have, and you're not the only one, listen, if I shorten assignments or change them or whatever, I'll usually, unless I'm just having a weird day, try to put it out there on Remind. It may be in the video, it might be a picture. Like what I did yesterday was I took a picture of this assignment and sent it out with that scratched out, kind of hoping that, hey, you know, I'm trying to help you guys out. I even had 2 kids that were absent yesterday. So what they did is they didn't print it off, but they looked at the problems and wrote them down on notebook paper and worked them. That way they didn't have to come back today stressed out, wondering what they missed, which is really awesome. Okay? My videoing. All I want y'all to do, like I want to show you these worked out and some of the different things about lining them up. That's the only reason I'm videoing the homework. Okay? So let's start out with just 1 through 4. Just kind of ignore on number 5. I literally wrote it wrong. So, 1 second. Okay. So, here is 1 through 4. And I'm thinking. Okay. I need you to really check number 3. Number 3 has got some borrowing issues. Let me turn it a little bit. Is that better? Just don't know. Like, unfortunately, all these cords are connected. So there. I'm thinking tomorrow I'm gonna move it to the middle. It's just right now I'm still plugged in up there. So. Okay. Did anybody miss number 3? We did it in class? Okay. So, number 3, just all the steps of borrowing kind of adds up. Yes? Okay, so you got everything right, but the first number, did you borrow from the 8 and make it a 7? So it sounds like the only thing you made a mistake on, maybe. And then 7 minus 1 would be 6.
Oh.
Is that good? Okay. Okay. Now, on number 5, I even goofed up, and I accidentally, it's kind of funny, because I wrote it as addition and then worked it out as subtraction. It happens to the best of us. So, will you check 5 and 6? Here's 5 correctly added up. And then the 6 has some more borrowing in it. Good so far? Uh-huh.
I think they needed just to put like add, subtract, so that way it wouldn't get simple.
It does get confusing. I don't know about boring, but confusing, yes. Yes. Yes.
Did I do mine wrong? Yeah.
What number?
4.
4 was subtraction. Now you got to put the 489 on top, lining it up, and then put a 0.0 with the 4.2 below it. On number 4, I know what you're talking about now. On number 4, it is the one that has a whole number. So when you write number 4 here, you've got to kind of take it slow. 489 is a whole number, so you're going to put 489, and that decimal is right behind it. Then minus 4.2, you're going to have to add the 0 up there. Okay. Any whole numbers, the decimal's at the end. Stop, please. Are y'all good? Are you good over there now? Okay, making sure. 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm trying to see. There we go. You good on it? So check the borrowing. See if you can find, like, if you made a mistake. If you can't figure it out, let me know. Eight, 9, and 10 we're all adding, so those everybody's been okay with. Okay. The key is with add and subtract. Line up those decimals and bring it straight down. Yes.
I think I mistake because I put
Which one?
I put it actually.
Okay, are you talking about in your answer? Or like in the math problem? Okay, so like, is it on the end? Okay, listen, good question. Seriously. It is okay to have, and I need you to all listen, because this is going to happen to you. If you have zeros to the right of this 5, or to the left of the 1, like over here for some reason, that is fine. You just added like an extra 0 is all it is. And that's fine. All it is it's kind of like walking up to someone and saying, I have $105.50. Where someone else could walk up to you and say, I have $105.50, but no pennies. We don't really say we have no pennies. We just say we have 50 cents. Okay? So to put a 0 there is fine. It is correct. Okay? You'll see a lot of that. We will have what I call extra zeros on the ends. Someone might have 1 and I have 2. And then over here there might be 1 and you have 2. So we'll have to talk about it as it goes on. So we do get zeros.
8, I got 44.50.
I think you subtract. And it is addition. Number 8. 7 minus 3 would be 4.
I see what I did.
You see it now?
I added 2 zeros at the end of both of them, and
Okay, but listen, that's okay. Listen, and this is the same thing you were talking about, Corey. Listen, this is not bad, and I want y'all to see this. What it is when y'all saw 75, y'all see what I'm doing? Okay, when y'all saw 75, y'all keep adding .00. That is fine. Oh, it was you, sorry. That is totally fine. Listen, when you put 30.5, it is, just keep it lined up, but it is adding. Okay, this is the same as that. It's just kind of like saying I have 0 pennies or something, but it means the same thing. Okay, I know I messed up. I'm sorry. Okay, are we good on that one now? Okay, so if you would click that back behind notes and homework. Notes and classwork homework.
oh, I got 10
Notes and classwork homework.
and 9.
It's okay, guys.
I got 9.
All it is, instead of, like, I tried to make it easy, and I wrote 1 0. They kind of did the money thing where you add 2 zeros, which is fine. It's the same thing. They just had an extra 0 on the end. But their answer is the same. You did good. Really, decimals doesn't change. I mean, the steps of it, you just got to know what to do with the decimal itself, which for add and subtract is super easy. Harder, right. Right. And it's not. It's really not. Yes.
I got it. I had got it.
Got it all right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So, first off, let me explain. First off, on this whatever this color sheet thing is, and I'm not trying to say out loud, haha. This is not due yet. We're going to work on it Friday after our quiz. So just leave it in your binder. Just leave it in your binder. And then Friday we'll get it out. Okay? So let's do Friday. Kind of. We're going to see how much it takes. Now, so that's the color sheet thing from last Friday. Here is the plan. We're going to be doing multiplying decimals today. For this week, all we're doing is add, subtract, multiply. That gives us the next couple days, like after I teach this today, to kind of conquer it. Make sure we're always getting the decimal in the right place. Okay? Here we go. So, today we're working on multiplying. And we are finally getting the definition for algorithm. Here we go. To me, an algorithm is just a math problem. Okay? But the fancy definition, let me see if I can get it all lined up here. There we go. Okay. The fancy definition is a step-by-step process to solve a problem. Okay. One second. The key is with algorithms. It's adding, it's subtracting. We should be writing this on our paper. It is multiplying, right? And, yes. 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 I like that. I'm just kind of waiting for everyone's attention. You are totally correct. An algorithm is like, it's like it says, a process that you're always going to get the same answer. Scientific method, it is a step-by-step process. So for science, that is an algorithm. That's a good way to put it. Ms. Willis had actually brought up the Rubik's Cube algorithm because there's some step-by-step thing that if you follow it, you can always solve it. I've never looked it up, but the key is like when we subtract, it doesn't matter if we're doing decimals or whole numbers, we should get there's a step-by-step process that gives us the right answer. The last little part, that there's a little extra thing here, which says it works every time. That's the key to it. It doesn't matter if you change it to decimals. It's going to give you the right answer. And that's important to know. Now, moving down to why multiplying decimals has an extra little star. Okay. Right here, they want you to write, do not line up the decimals. Now, my one issue with writing that is that sometimes those decimals just happen to line up. It just happens that way. And when that happens, there's nothing we can do about it. We just kind of have to go with it. But you don't want to actually look at it and line them up on purpose. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Now, is everybody good so far? Okay. Here is our first example. 9.7, I'm going to kind of scoot it down. 9.7 times 1.58. Okay, and they've even given us some rules over here. The first rule is, or the first step, is to place the longer number on top. Not bigger, not like 110, like 100 compared to 10, but like longer, more digits, okay? So which one has more digits? 1.58. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put 1.58 on the top. Get it in the right place. There we go. And on the bottom, you're going to line up whatever's on the right. So that 7 for 9.7 needs to go under the 8. And the 9 goes right there under the 5. Okay, now for right now, once you've got it lined up, just line up the right-hand numbers. The steps of multiplying are the same. To be honest, you can ignore the decimals for a few minutes. Here we go. We're going to just do it like we normally do. 7 times 8, 56. 7 times 5, 35, plus 5, 40. And then 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4, 11. Now, go into the 9. Got to have a placeholder. 9 times 8, 72. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 7, 52. And 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5, 14. Now, being very careful, everything's lined up nice and pretty. Okay, so we multiplied using the standard algorithm, just regular old math. Yes? What do you do next? You got it. The number of digits behind the decimal. And that's the key. How many are behind the decimal? 3. 3. Now listen. Make sure you look at both decimals if they both have them. So that 5 and that 8 are behind that decimal, and that's 7. So you're going to want to basically bring it over 3 times, as I call it, or have 3 numbers behind your decimal. So that's why that decimal's right there. Okay? The biggest mistake is moving it over like twice and just forgetting that one. Like forgetting that there's one there. Please stop. Put the water bottle down. You'll make it without. You're just sitting there playing with it. Go ahead and sit up. Okay. Now, let's look at number 1 down here. One hint is, on number 1, that 0 in the front, you can kind of ignore that one if you want. Meaning, just write that, like 0.007. But looking at these digits, which one's longer? The second one, right. So we want that one on top, 13.95. And on the bottom, the 0.007, lining up the 7 with the 5. Okay, 7 times 5, 35. 7 times 9, 63, 64, 65, 66. 27. Okay. I'm going to stop right there. Everybody kind of. Okay. I want you to see something. I could go in there and I could do placeholder 0, 0, 0, 0. And I could do 2 placeholders and then 0, 0, 0, 0. And then I could add them all up. But does it really change anything? No. So I'm going to kind of stop right there. And my next question is, how many times do I move it over? The decimal. 5 times. That's right. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got to move it over 5 times. But what happens? We got to add a 0 because we basically skipped a step. You might have to add 2 zeros. Like, there have been times I've added 2 or 3. But anytime there's not enough spots, make sure you add that 0 in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, number 2, it's not a tricker, but like it is throwing people off when we get to this style on homework. Look at number 2. Yes, this has 3 digits and that has 3 digits. Officially, you could say that one has 2 digits though, 0.65. Okay. What is getting people is, I'm going to put the 798 on top and the 0.65 on bottom. But where is the decimal on 798? In front of it or behind it? Behind it, yes. It is officially right here. So when you're looking at how many numbers are behind decimals, how many? 2, right. So let's see if we can get this one right. 8 times 5 is 40. Placeholder. How many times should we move it over? Don't say it, I heard it. 2, yeah. Because there's 2 numbers. This number and that number are behind that decimal. Nothing's behind that decimal. So moving it over twice would put it right there. .7 or .70. I need you to understand that decimal place matters. Listen, how much money is that? $518.70. But I want you to think about this. If I change the number to this, how much is that? $51.87. Listen, decimal place matters. A lot of kids, when I go to grade papers or we go to grade homework, will say, I just missed the decimal. Well, you don't want the bank, this is my philosophy, you don't want the bank to miss the decimal. It could really mess up what I call your paycheck, okay? So, if you would put that behind notes and classwork. You guys have some of these back. Now we'll talk about the assignment in just a minute. Sorry. Papers that are out there just like awesome. You look like they were cannon shoot the t-shirt down. Like all of a sudden, all
Like
your
the
I have that. That's what I need. Okay. Put it up. Put it up. Like, let's do this. Okay, so tonight's work/homework. Here we go. Listen up. Can't find the top of it. There we go. Okay. So tonight's classwork homework, or today's classwork / finish for homework, is 1 through 8. 1 through 8. I am taking off 9, 10, 11, and 12. Guys, if you'll listen, you will hear me say it. I am marking out 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I am asking you to do 1 through 8. I'm trying to make sure they can see them if they're at home. Okay, let me shrink it just a little bit. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 and 8. Now, I will be doing it on notebook paper, but if you want to do it on the sheet, you can. So, if you please start, and then I want to check some answers in just a second. Okay, so we have been talking a little bit. Number 1, we were talking about how it just happens to line up. Just happens to. Working it out. Now remember, don't bring decimals straight down. Bring it over twice. Okay. On something like this, you can drop that front 0. Okay, it doesn't really matter. When working it out, I get that long number. I need to move it over 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So moving it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That decimal should be in front of that 1. Yes?
Sort of just an off-task question, but if we did division like this, would it get bigger?
Yep. And we'll talk about it. We'll do some weird shape cutting, as I'll call it. It'll show more, especially when we get to fractions. Yes.
It does sort of the same thing on number 3 as it
Lines up on accident, yes. And that's why I don't love that sentence on the notes where it says don't line up the decimals, because sometimes the decimals just happen to line up. And it just happens. I don't know. Yes.
I remember 2.
Uh-huh.
Do you put 0 in front or like after? Like,
Here? Like in the front? You can have a 0 in front. That is fine. It is the same thing. Same thing.
Would you add a 0 on number 4?
Number 4. Okay. You could, like behind the 31. Is that what you mean? Like 31.0? You can, or you can just do 31. So like if I were to do this, I would make it 9.32 on top, 31 on bottom, and then just think of my decimal as being right there and there's nothing behind it. Okay? Now if you do slide it over 1 and add a 0, just count it in there. Okay? There will be a lot of questions on zeros tomorrow. And if your answer's right, that's why I really need you to show your work and be ready to show me, like, so we can talk about it. See if our answers are the same or not. Okay? Okay, so finish through 8. Finish through 8.